Yes, we are living a yes, we are living in a simulation. Welcome back. That was a glitch. Yes, we are living in a simulation. Welcome back, Mike Cernovich, Cernovich.com, here to talk about a subject that I talk about a lot, which is the simulation. The way I use the terminology, though, is a little bit different from the conventional analysis. So here is how I mean we live by a simulation. Here's how I can prove it. Go online and type in simulation theory, right? You read this stuff. Well, the conventional definition is that we are living in a computer simulation, which is basically we're living in VR, we're living in, somebody else's video game. That's one definition of the simulation, but that isn't the definition of the simulation that I use. When I talk about simulation theory, I'm talking about socially constructed reality, right? So the conventional definition is, are we living in a computer simulation? Elon Musk, a lot of people do. If you watch The Matrix, you get the idea of what that means. But here's what I mean about living in a computer simulation. Who are you, right? You are a socially constructed being. You're the product of shame, fear, rules set by society. Society says you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't do that. Right? They tell you all these rules, so then that creates who you are because you are the products of your actions. So there's all these rules and thought processes and other things going after you. So what is happening right now, right? I'll give you an example. You can't say that. We all know you can't. If you're a public figure, you see it more acutely. So if you're a public figure, can you say certain words? No. Why not? They'll stop you. Well, what's they? Well, the mob. What is the mob? Right? The mob is just this hive mind, these processes in the socially constructed simulation we live in. Are you afraid of doing something? Right? Well, what is fear? Most fear we live in today is mental fear. We don't live in actual, if you're in the Western world, most fear is mental fear. I'm afraid to go make a sale. I'm afraid to go ask that attractive male or female or gender non-binary for the phone number. I'm afraid to take a business risk because I might fail and people might judge me. I'm afraid to live life like I want to because my parents might shame me, right? Social disapproval. Most of our problems are not, oh my gosh, fortunately in the West, we have Western privilege. If you're in Syria, maybe there's going to be a bombing. If you're in Yemen, the rest of the world is a mess. But in terms of the Western world, our problems are largely psychological. Fear of shame, fear of judgment, fear of being who we want to be, fear of being made fun of, fear of haters, right? Fear of rejection. These are all socially constructed rules, and of course, they come from this simulation. Because the reason I use the word simulation in this way is because they're arbitrary rules, right? I'll give you an example of the arbitrary cultural rules. If you grow up in, did anybody here Middle Eastern culture? Anybody here Middle Eastern culture? If you're in a Middle Eastern culture, you haggle. You negotiate because it's part of your culture. And culture, as Terence McKenna said, is our operating system. Well, the fact that culture is our operating system indicates we're in a simulated reality and everybody's trying to program and control your mind. So if you're in a Middle Eastern culture, if you don't haggle, you're actually a loser. But if you grew up in a more Western European culture, you don't go to the store and say, give me 10% off. Throw in a pocket square with this. You'll feel people will judge you. Ugh, that's right, garish. That's gosh. Is that how you say it? G-A-U-C-H-E? Gosh. A lot of people go, oh, you mispronounce your words, right? The sophisticated, fancy people. You mispronounce your words. That's their way of trying to manipulate and control human behavior by making people feel lesser than they are, by trying to make people feel small. Because people aren't running their reality, right? The simulated realities. Everybody's trying to program your brain. Well, if it's possible to program your brain, why is it possible? Why is it possible to run these software codes? Don't do this, don't do that. That's the simulation. That's the simulation we live in. Because when you think about what you're afraid of, most people aren't afraid of what I would call like real things. You know, if you go in a bad neighborhood or you're out on a hike and you see a rattlesnake or something, I'm not talking about something like that. That isn't the fear most people have, right? Especially if you're on the internet. The fact that you have the internet you have an internet connection, and you have, you live on the internet, you're fine. So we have a guy saying the rules are there for a reason, goober. So that right there is an example of the simulation in effect. So I will ban him from my simulation because that's not an interesting point to make. But you see that there's a reason for the rules. He's saying don't follow the rules. Well, I mean, who made the rules, bro? Did you make the rules? No, the architects of the simulation made the rules, and they don't follow their own rules. Have you not figured that out by now? Have we not learned, I don't care what your politics are, have we not learned that the FBI, which throws people in prison for lying, they lie. Comey lies, McCabe lies, Strzok lies, they all lie. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. This isn't a pro-Trump thing. This is just about mindset. And the very people who throw you in prison for lying, they lie under oath and nothing happens to them. Why? Because they're part of the architectural system. They are the architects of the simulation we live in. So people go, follow the rules. Rules made by who? By people who don't actually follow them. By the way, this connects to a broader point. What I call a glitch in the computer system, right? In the airplane crashes. Because they are connected. So you notice a lot of weird things are happening lately with airplanes. Remember, if you're new here, you know, this probably seems like a crazy conversation, and that's fine because I'm not trying to give a clear lecture. These are conversations that we have together, and it's what I enjoy doing and what people enjoy doing, but you have to watch me for like hours and hours and hours to really to understand the way we communicate. And I told people a year ago, watch out for airplane stuff. Watch out for airplane stuff. People go, well, why? Why watch out for airplane stuff? And I said, because people, high precision instruments and people who are acutely able to use them are acutely aware of the energy shifts and aware of the simulation. And here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. James, let's just use some recent high-profile examples to show why if you're a rational person, you're losing your mind today. This is the irony is the more rational you are, the more you're losing your mind and the less the world makes sense. Why? Okay, James Gunn talked about touching children. Well, you're not supposed to bring that up. That's weaponizing outrageousness and bad faith, and he just said jokes even though they didn't have a punchline. So if you're a rational person, you're like, does not compute. Wait a minute. Roseanne was fired over tweets. What are you talking about? It's wrong to fire people over tweets now? And Roseanne made a joke that she didn't even intend to be racist, and James Gunn was talking about children, which is way worse than racism. So even if if you're a logical person, here's how you're interpreting the world. Roseanne was fired for a racist joke. She didn't intend it to be racist. She was fired. You can be fired over tweets. Rule. Okay, now you have your brain programmed for the simulation. Your rule is if you make a racist joke on Twitter, you can be fired. Okay. James Gunn should not be fired because he merely told jokes. And if you call out those jokes, you are weaponizing bad faith and acting in bad faith. If you're a logical person, you're like, well, wait a minute, I was just told that you can be fired over tweets and you should be fired over tweets. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, but maybe because it's a pedophile joke, then that's a different category of an unintentional racial joke. Okay. So your brain is like trying to process it. And now you have Sarah Jung, who said she likes to abuse white men, hates white people, wants to kill white people. And your brain goes, okay, Sarah Jung, racist comments, overtly racist, deliberately racist, hundreds of tweets over 4 years. Under the Roseanne rule, she must be fired. And then you open up the news and the news says, wow, you people just don't get it. She did nothing wrong. Sarah Jung is a great person, and anybody who says you should be fired over a tweet is a liar. And your rational brain is like, well, wait a minute. Roseanne was fired over a racist tweet, even though she didn't intend it to be racist. Because I didn't know, for example, Valerie Jarrett was African American. I thought she was Iranian. My wife, you know, in the summertime is rather, you know, I'm going to, you know, they're trying to get me, so I'm not going to go into too many details. But, you know, my Iranian wife or Persian, you know, whatever people call it, she gets quite dark in the summertime. And I'm not going to say darker than Jarrett because that'll be spun against me. But it was, I didn't think Valerie Jarrett was African American. I thought she was Iranian, right? So Roseanne believed the same thing, apparently. So if you're living in a world, Nagel, well, you have to fire Roseanne for a racial joke, but you can't fire James Gunn and you can't fire Sarah Jung, then if you have a logical brain, you're just going to start losing it. And that's what's happening with a lot of men, and especially men who have maybe more logical brains. They're losing their minds because the world no longer makes sense. That's because they still live in a simulation that they expect to be rational. But the simulation that we live in is not rational. The simulation we live in is strictly, you can call it Satanism, you can call it Nietzscheism, you can call it whatever you want to live in. But we don't live in a rational world where there are generally applicable rules, because here's what a rational simulation would look like. Racism is bad. Therefore, right, this is the way a rational universe would work. Racism is bad. Therefore, Roseanne fired. Okay. Therefore, Sarah Jung fired. Okay. You can be fired for tweets. Therefore, James Gunn fired. And then everything would just make total sense. You're like, okay, James Gunn, pedophile jokes, got fired, should have been fired. But if you think about the world and expect the world to be rational, you open up the headlines, you're like, well, wait a minute, we were just told it's okay to fire people over tweets. But now we're told it's not okay to fire people over tweets. And your brain just doesn't process it. And the problem is a lot of rational people, engineers and people who are, you know, do computer software and people who do, can fly airplanes and program airplanes and everything. Their brains are just like, they rebel because the rules are not rational. So the shift you have to make to break through the simulation and to break through the programming is to realize we don't live in a world of rationality, or at least when you leave from one simulation to another. So if you're in the world of engineering, we live in a rational world, right? An airplane follows the certain laws of physics. If you do physics, you do live in a rational world. But when you leave the world of physics, you are now entering a different simulation, because you can go from one simulation to another simulation, because everywhere you go is a different simulation. It's like thousands of these, infinite number maybe, are being run in real time. So if you're in a rational world where there are fundamental laws of physics, and then you go into the real world and you're like, well, nothing makes sense. Well, that's because you're trying to apply the world of a rational, right? You're trying to use the rules in a rational world and an irrational world. And the world we live in now, and maybe it's always been the way, maybe it's always been this way. The world we live in now is just strictly one of manufactured, socially constructed reality. And everybody is competing with their narratives to get you into to reprogram their simulation. So if you turn on the news, you realize that people in the media are just very hateful, bigoted people, and they have nothing but hate in their heart. Chris Cuomo, for example, on CNN endorsed Antifa violence. Well, it's not that bad because, you know, even though the people being beat up by Antifa, that's the thing. If Antifa only beat up a few alt-right guys, they would have beat them all up. There's like 20 people. There are like 20 Nazis in America, you know. So Antifa is beating up like 550 confirmed ones. So there aren't even that many, and it's women and other people just wearing a Trump hat, you get attacked. So once you realize, okay, you got to leave the world of rationality. You're not in a world of rationality. You're in a world where the media just wants to F you up. They just want to smash you in the face. So the media is creating its own simulation. It's all true. So Kanye, actually, one of the few people who gets this, which is amazing, because I remember when I told people way before Kanye broke free, I said Kanye is going to be one of the most culturally relevant people. People laughed at me. Because people, you notice that's what people do a lot, right? People love to laugh at Cernovich, even my own tribe, my own people. So in A Night for Freedom, New York, when I was taking questions I talked about Kanye West and Bitcoin and Kim Kardashian, and everybody rolled their eyes. My own people, we have the video. My own friends, my good friend Stefan, even rolled his eyes like, this guy, I know Cernovich, but he's going off the reservation here. And then suddenly Kanye's, talking about these things and Kim Kardashian's getting people pardoned. And everybody's like, where did that come from? Well, I told you it was coming, people. I told you it was coming because we live in a new world now where you can create your own simulation through the power of fame, through the power of media, through the power of non-distributed networks, through the power of decentralized networks. You're able to create and act as architects on the simulation. So it used to be we all lived in the media simulation. There are WMDs in Iraq. We must go to war and topple Saddam Hussein. Regime change is good. The world will be a better place. Give us all the money. The media said it. We lived in the world. We believed it. Well, now the media, if they tried something like that, people would say, what are you? You're frauds. You're liars. Where are the videos, right? Because now you can't lie to people. They try this all the time with the serious stuff. People are like, where are the live streams? Where are the videos, right? Everybody's got a smartphone. So if you're going to tell us there are WMDs somewhere, you better get your reporters in there and you better live stream that, or we're just not going to believe it. So now the media is rebelling because they can't control the simulation anymore. Because the socially constructed, emotionally constructed simulation we live in can be changed. The physical rules that we abide by can't. So that's what I mean by the two simulation theory, Cernovich's two simulation theory. One is the conventional simulation theory, which holds that we are all living in a computer game constructed by some advanced civilization, and there are certain rules, physical rules, physical laws of space, and those are fixed. I do believe that to be the case, by the way. Second is that we live in an emotionally or socially constructed simulation, and that simulation is being created in real time by people all day, every day. So for example, I'm reading comments. You're an idiot. You're stupid. Proof. Said proof you're blocked, nail biter. So that's what I mean by simulation. People who don't even have an open mind, they're like little data. They're like ones and O's. So we're all just ones and O's, zeros and ones acting on each other. And people go, oh, so people come with a very negative mindset, not an open mindset, because they are trying to program and act on the simulation. But it isn't based on their own ideas. It's based on ideas that other people have told them. We are living in a material world. We are living in an emotional world. Do you read? Do you read and then feel? Well, where's the material object? Do you read and then do you feel? That's all happening inside here in an immaterial world. Do you have thoughts that make you sad? Do you have flashbacks on your life that make you sad? Or maybe you have thoughts that make you feel good. Or maybe you have thoughts that bring in feelings of nostalgia, which can be good or bad depending on the circumstances. Nostalgia can be a longing for a moment past, or nostalgia can be a pleasant reflection of moments past. So you have, your feelings are based on your thoughts. Do thoughts have weight? Have you ever thought about that, the physics of thought? Do your thought, because we live in a material world. Well, yeah, real smart point, bro. You know, nobody's ever thought of that before. But have you ever thought about, do your thoughts have weight? Do your thoughts have mass? So if you can, right, because feeling isn't magic. Feeling is dopamine. Feeling is serotonin. Feeling is endorphins. Right? So your feelings, we think of these feelings as being an immaterial process, but our feelings are based on neurotransmitters, and you can measure all this stuff. Our feelings are based on all this chemical soup going on in our head, right? And you can change your feelings based on your thoughts, but your thoughts don't have mass. Measure a thought. How much does a thought weigh? Right? Because right now, I shake the bottle, right? There are forces being applied to the bottle. The forces are acting on the objects on the inside, right? That's material world, okay. Do your thoughts have weight? How much do your thoughts weigh? See, how much do your thoughts weigh? They don't. But your thoughts create an emotional cascade. Your thoughts create material processes, right? So just saying the world is material is actually, it isn't helpful and isn't interesting, right? So things are happening. Now, do I fully understand it? Heck no. Are you kidding me? Come on. My hair's not that gray. I don't really fully understand all this stuff. I don't really fully understand all this stuff. But I just know that the idea that, we live in a material world, which is Madonna, living in a material world, and I am a material girl. Who remembers that? Big hit. But just saying that we live in a world of that's material, that has physical space, it doesn't answer the question of thought and how does thought have weight? Well, if thoughts don't have weight, then how do thoughts create these Newtonian processes, right? Because we're told that the causality, cause and effect. So, right, I swing that, the bottle moves, right? Okay. Makes sense. I take a pool cue and I hit a ball, the ball goes, moves things. Okay, it makes sense. I think about a traumatic thought and I feel like crap. Well, wait a minute, or I think about an uplifting thought and I feel amazing. Well, okay, that thought though, how is that thought moving? How is that thought causing serotonin to be released, causing dopamine to be released, causing endorphins? How is that thought doing it if thought doesn't have mass, if thought doesn't have weight? Because we think of thought as having weight. Heavy thought, a lot on your mind. Right? Have you ever thought about that? Do you have a lot on your mind? Well, how do you have a lot on your mind? He was burdened by heavy thoughts. But wait a minute. I thought thoughts don't have weight. Do thoughts have mass? See, these are complicated questions, by the way, which is why I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I do know that you can feel the emotional processes at every level, and you feel it most acutely when you're a public figure. And by that, I mean, if you're a public figure and you say something, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. They are coming for me. And they are, right? That's the whole point. They are coming for you. Well, who are they? That's the simulation. It's like little, ones and zeros are coming for you because you've broken a rule of the socially constructed simulation. You can't say that. You can't do that. So you feel the simulation acting on you and waging war against you in ways that maybe you don't feel as a private figure, although that's changing now because social media has made everybody at least a local celebrity. If you want me to keep talking about this, hit the like button. If you want me to keep talking about this, hit the like button and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hit the emojis. Type in the emojis. If you're on Periscope, tap the screen. Yeah, somebody said it's like saying people give off vibes. Yeah, we all know vibes. Oh, God. We all know what a spiritual vampire is. There are people that you just go next to and you leave and you feel like you're going to throw up. It's like chilling. You feel, right, the hair on the back of your neck goes up. Well, why? That energy. Well, where's the energy? Measure it. Show me the energy. That's what I love about these people who, by the way, they're all dorks. Because you see them in real life and you realize why they don't understand this, because they're, neckbeard dorks. But if you're walking down the street and how many times have you passed a person, or have you ever walked down the street past a person and then felt a chill? Have you ever, walked past a person and you just felt a chill? Or where you met a person and you feel drained? Have you ever just met a person and felt drained, like they took energy out of you? How though? How did that happen? There's no mass, right? Because there's energy leaving all of us. I can feel energy. The more spiritual you get and the more plugged into the simulation you get, I can feel energy from a computer screen. I can just read a tweet and say, that is a bad person. That's why people go, oh, you accuse all these people, all this stuff. I'm like, well, I can feel that energy. Like with James Gunn, I could feel that energy And then what I found, even more worse stuff has come out. Why? Because I'm plugged in to the simulation. I'm plugged into the sacred geometry. I can read things and feel things other people can't feel. But it isn't because I'm special. It's because I've been doing this for 20 years. So for me, I could just feel that energy of just satanic, demonic, evil, gremlin, goblin, gargoyle, whatever you want to call it. I can feel that energy. And I feel it every day. But even if you're not as deeply plugged in, you do know you've met people, spiritual vampire. That person's a spiritual vampire. Well, I mean, how does that person take out your energy though? How does that person, right? Because it's a vibe, it's an energy, it's an aura. These are a lot of things people don't understand. So yeah, like Ali said, yeah, gun, it was just demonic. I felt it like I was throwing up that night before bed. I was up till 4 a.m. and I was literally dry heaving in bed, because the problem is that by exposing these people, I have to be stronger than their energy. And sometimes their energy is so demonic that it can temporarily like push me back. Do you understand what I'm saying? It isn't like I'm all powerful, divine, godlike creature, far from it. I just have a very strong read of energy, and I have a very strong energy of my own that can usually push it back. But sometimes you encounter such a demonic presence that it pushes you back, and then you feel sick, and it really does physiologically rattle you, because that's how evil the forces are. And with Gunn, it wasn't even that his energy was that bad. It was just that the whole demonic media complex was behind him. It wasn't just him. It was like he was a portal to the whole complex, the whole Hollywood complex, the whole Hollywood media complex. And yes, I was dry heaving, like, it was a very, very, and then I did one video where I found somebody else's tweets and I had to leave the room. I was throwing up. So energy it's not just like I control it. Energy is constantly pushing back on me. Speaking of which, I'm not the only person to understand these concepts. Let's go ahead and watch a Kanye. Remember when I told people, if you don't like Kanye, unfollow me? The guy's a genius. He really gets it. So Kanye talks about the simulation as well. Let's go ahead and watch him.
Thanks for being here, and thank you for the shoes. Nobody ever brings me shoes. You brought me shoes. That's very nice of you, very kind. And I'll tell you a story, and this is honestly true. The last time, a few years ago, you sent me a pair of Yeezys. I have never in my life...
Sorry about that, guys. I got to fast forward a little bit. I don't know what happened here. I am my own producer. And I am the own producer. I am my own architect. So we got to... There we go.
And sometimes you just have to be fearless enough to break the simulation. And when I mean simulation, this is what I mean by the simulation. Sorry, I know you guys wanted to clap, but everything I'm going to say is going to be amazing. Here's the idea why you're in a simulation. Let's start with acting, first of all. And a 2-year-old screams at a restaurant, the entire restaurant screams. Teach that kid how to act. We're all unpaid actors in some giant script that we didn't write.
So did we not what is happening, people? Here, let me try to watch it on YouTube. Very, very, very annoying. We'll get it. We'll get the clip loaded, people. I promise you. It's worth the wait. But so when you watch the Kanye thing, really watch him with an open mind, because he's talking about the simulation and the way that I've talked about it, the way other people have talked about it. It's a different kind of simulation. So let's go ahead. By the way, you can tell that my daughter has taken over my iPad. So this is, so when my daughter comes in, she watches these Dave and Anna cartoons. So you get a, dad life. So you see he's talking about simulation in terms of rules. Kanye is a very deep spiritual person. And you're saying you can't go on the coffee table. Well, that's the simulation acting against you. And then, of course, this hack, Jimmy Kimmel's not equipped to talk. There are maybe 3 people who could interview Kanye. Maybe 5 people I can think of who could actually interview him. And Jimmy Kimmel is definitely not one of those people. Somebody said, read Gorilla Mindset last night. Yeah, I mean, Gorilla Mindset was the prelude to a lot of the stuff that I thought about. So here's how I came up with Gorilla Mindset, really, is I mean, I'll tell you, it's just, I would have these thoughts. I would go, I'm in a bad mood. And I would go, why am I in a bad mood? And I would feel energy at certain parts of my body. And then I realized that your thoughts are able to create a cascade of physiological processes in your body. And then I realized, okay, you realize that, and a lot of this, by the way, is just old school wisdom, but with the new school kind of twist. You realize that you have to mind your thoughts because your mind and your thoughts are your operating software, right? Mindset is your operating software. Terrence McKenna said culture is your operating system, right? Culture, your attitude, beliefs, and values. What is taboo? What is good? What is evil? What is permissible? You know, what is acceptable? What are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? Well, that comes from your culture. But your mindset is really your operating software. And you can reprogram your mindset. And then when you reprogram your mindset, you are now creating your own reality. And that's what we talk about in the Gorilla Mindset Masterclass. Ali, I don't know if he's still in the stream. Ali watched me film this in real time. And he was on the Periscope earlier. I don't know if he's still on here or not. But I did a live set video at Gorilla Mindset, GorillaMindset.com about Gorilla Mindset, which is reprogramming your own mind, reprogramming your own story, and becoming an architect of your own reality. Because that's the beauty of it. You have been programmed. Whether you know it or not, you have been programmed. Do this, don't do that. The problem is these rules are largely unseen. Don't do that. And you only know the rules when you breach them, for the most part, right? Yeah, Ali is here. What'd you think of Ali watched me program it in real time. He watched me record it. So Ali can give you an honest, impartial review. So you usually don't know that you've done something wrong until you feel a certain way, because there's all these, you're hitting these, the third rail, right? You're like getting electrocuted. It's like electric fence all around you. Oh, I said this. I said that bzz, 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 everywhere you go, right? It's like, can't do that, can't do that. And then that fries a lot of people's brains, which again is why you're seeing this airplane crash stuff happening. Pilots live and die by rules. And once you hit so many irrational rules, then your brain fries if you don't have the ability to recondition your mind and to reprogram your mind. And that's what the Gorilla Mindset Masterclass is about. You can buy that pre-order it. Price is going up. Probably this Friday I'll raise the price, probably double the price, because it sold really well. GorillaMindset.com, GorillaMindset.com, GorillaMindset.com. You can pre-order it. We also have a private discussion group, because I'm leaving the internet soon, pretty soon, probably once Hoax is done and I have this big blockbuster film success. I'm out of here. I am so over this lunacy and engaging in this world. I have left my stamp on the simulation. I have left my mark. I have left my legacy. I have put my ones and zeros into the simulation. There is no question that I've bended the fabric of reality in my own way. For 3 years, I've done this. Done things people said was impossible. John Conyers, James Gunn, completely changing how conservative media operates. Now, conservative media is much more aggressive and adversarial than it used to be. When I came in 3 years ago, conservative media did not exist. It was a joke. It was a joke. All they would do would reblog. They would reblog whatever the left saying, oh, the liberals are da-da-da. I have completely changed forever the course of conservative media. It is now much more aggressive. It's more adversarial. It's more punchy. My time in this space is coming to a close. and I'm re-entering the world that I began in with mindset, but I'm going back in a mindset with a deeper understanding now. I know what it's like to live in the fake news simulation. Go to read my Wikipedia page. Alt-right conspiracy theorist. Alt-right, I've disavowed those guys for years. You know, but so they're trying to put me in their fake news simulation, and the whole Wikipedia page is just a lie. They don't talk about Susan Rice. They don't talk about John Conyers. They barely talk about James Gunn. They don't talk about my books. They don't talk about my films. They don't talk about the massive success I've had, how I've traveled all over the world. But that's their simulation, their fake news simulation. So I'm returning to mindset with a deeper understanding. I've been profiled by the biggest media outlets in the world. I've been attacked by the biggest media outlets in the world. I was the #1 story in the Huffington Post. Huffington Post did a full half-page advert against me on their page, just a whole hit job. They paid a guy hundreds of thousands of dollars just to attack me, and then they made me their front page story. So I returned to mindset with all of this experience, and then I'll be back in a couple years, right? Because the simulation stuff, I understood it in college, but I never lived it. There's a difference between knowledge and understanding. There's a difference between you believe something to be true and you've lived it. I've lived the simulation. I've lived it. I've reprogrammed the simulation. I've absolutely reprogrammed the way the world works in ways now that people don't even know. If you don't remember conservative media 3 years ago, you don't even know what I'm talking about. These people were a joke. They were just desperate to be loved. And now you look, conservative media is beautiful. They're just savage. And unless you really have followed the scene, you don't understand that that is due to my imprint. And that's fine. That's when you become part of the simulation too, is when people don't even know why they do what they do. That's when you're a programmer. That's when you're an architect of reality. As people, they just now abide by these new rules, and they don't even know. They are now part of the new simulation, right? Wild, right? So that's what you can, if you want to really go deep into this stuff in a very structured way, GorillaMindset.com. Right, yeah, we have a lot of people committing fraud here, saying people are going, I built my name on this movement. Well, that's actually really stupid. I sold more books before I ever got into politics because a lot of people who read me are liberals, and I get along well with liberals, and I get along well with Muslims, and I get along well with Hindus and Jews and every religion out there and every race. So getting into this patriot movement was a very bad thing that happened to me. In a way, I had to do it to save my country. But anybody who's been to my events know that it's like the Rainbow Coalition. Largely men, 70% men. Women are, of course, welcome. But it's like the Rainbow Coalition. And then the media lied about me and, white this, white that. My daughter's not, half white. It's all stupid. So, yeah, then I get these losers who come in here, parasites, never supported anything, don't even read books. And they claim, oh, you rode the Trump train. I was bigger. My life was better before this politics stuff. If Trump had never run for office, I never would have got into politics, and my life would be so much better than it is now. But when Trump ran, it was a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do what the founding fathers had done, to do what was not possible before. So the idea that, oh, yeah, you wrote, no, that was a once. Read my old articles on politics. I think people obsessed with politics are losers, right? Be obsessed with your own life. Be obsessed with it being healthy, spending time with your family, being productive, living a better life. Go read my old stuff on politics. So if Trump had never run, I would have known it was pointless to get involved because Mitt Romney, John McCain, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, they're all the same. Evil, vicious warmongers wanting to slaughter innocent people all over the world. Demonic, that's their form of human sacrifice, are drone strikes and bombing people and people die and everything. That is the dark energy in this world. So I would never, never, never be involved in this, Paul. So if Trump had never run, I never would have been involved, and my life would be better because I wouldn't have lost all of my great liberal friends who have come back into the fold. Welcome back. So my great people are coming back now. My events were always very diverse without me trying to be diverse. They just were. Why? Because men need this message and women like the message too, or at least they like the men who like this message. So we have a lot of couples show up to my events. And then I noticed it became less diverse as the media lied about me. And I didn't realize the media was creating a false simulation about me and whiteness. And I didn't push back against that simulation hard enough. And then I ended up trapped in a simulation I had to break out of. And now, of course, I'm broke out of it again. But I didn't realize the media, because I'm not somebody to be apologetic or whatever. But I didn't realize the media had created this fake simulation about me and racial issues, right? The racial stuff I've always thought was just so dumb. But I didn't realize I had to act against that simulation. I had to break out of that fake simulation. So that was my own. You live and you learn and you make mistakes. That was my own mistake. And then I broke through it again. And now we're back to just the Rainbow Coalition. The diversity I have at a mindset seminar. No, this is why they don't write about it. Multiple journalists have been to my mindset events. You notice they never. You notice multiple journalists have been to my mindset events. You know why they never write about it? Because the diversity I get at my events are unlike anything they ever get. They're all white-topias. Right? Have a happy hour for CNN and see who shows up. A bunch of white people, probably old white boomers too. Come to a Cernovich event, you have everybody from young, maybe, rough looking fellows to the old boomers to the middle to everybody in between. So that's why they never report on the things that I actually do. Right? Because then they would have a hard time lying. They would have a hard time. So they just pretend it doesn't happen. Right? They have to pretend that it doesn't happen at all. So, but again, so by returning to my mindset work, I'm returning to it with all of these experiences. And then I am going to have a deeper mindset message. And then I'll grow individually and we'll grow together and work together. And then we'll come back a few years, 3 to 5 years. But I'm not leaving yet. Probably I'm going to leave after Hoaxed. Once Hoaxed is out, peace out, my friends. I will see you later because I will be doing all of my mindset work with people who are committed to excellence. So if you want the course, you should buy. The course is amazing. Pre-order is underpriced relative to similar products. You can go to GorillaMindset.com. We again have a private members only group. Go to GorillaMindset.com, 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 just like the book. Pick up the course. We go really deep into how you can reprogram the simulation, because once you reprogram the simulation, you live a better life because we're connected. The simulation acts on you and then you're acting on the simulation. It's just like any kind of emotional relationship. It's just like anything else in life. The simulation acts on you and then you act on the simulation. Go to GorillaMindset.com/CLASS or just go to GorillaMindset.com. You'll find the course. You're going to love it. Talk to you soon. Mike Cernovich, GorillaMindset.com.